Hello and welcome to Barnstable Today. I'm Len Gobeil. Recently, the Barnstable School Committee met and made their annual budget presentation. This year, they're looking at the 2011-2012 school budget year. The chairman of the school committee, Pat Murphy, opened up the hearing.
We're in public hearing to discuss the fiscal year 12 budget. The superintendent will make a brief presentation that will be familiar to everyone. So take it away.
This budget was developed respectful of our core values that every child has a right to every opportunity to achieve their highest potential. And the way in which we do that is to provide a broad-based program of academic and extracurricular activities for students, as well as supports internal for our students, and challenges in the form of gateway. So our budget tries very hard to respect the diversity of our learners. Each person deserves to be treated with dignity and respect, and that means that our staff has respectful facilities to work in, and that our children have interesting and challenging academic experiences, and that integrity and personal responsibility are the hallmarks of our daily interaction.
Later in the hearing, School Superintendent Patricia Grenier made her budget assumptions.
The budget assumptions for the FY12 budget is the 10% reduction in state aid and a decreased assessment in our vocational school assessment at the town level. When I first presented this budget early on in February, I called it level service with a twist. The twist was that I continued to fund the ARA positions. Those ARA positions were a half of a kindergarten assistant's time to create full-time for kindergarten assistants at High West, an adjustment and prevention support at BIS, and special education facilitation at the elementary level. When I presented that, the committee shared with me that they felt that the budget did not jeopardizing future fiscal years by including those positions, and asked that I look at ways to trim the budget down from the first presentation to the second one, which was on February 22nd. Even with that, the budget that I do present to you has average class sizes at the elementary level of 20 students, 23 and 22 in grades 4 to 7, and the high school varies by course. 2 years ago, when we did redesign the district, we had 30-plus students in too many classes at the high school, and I believe next year we will have no high school class with 29 and 30 students in it. That's a benefit of the reduction in our student enrollment. That's one of the assets. However, if we continue to decline, we will lose teachers. So there's this balance that we need to strike. And school choice allows us to bring students in as we lose students whose residence is Barnstable. Our budget was impacted originally by fewer retirements than we expected, and there were more administrative retirements than there were, or equal number of administrative retirements as there were elementary teachers. Generally, you don't save significantly with an administrative retirement. This is where we stand today with 2 high school teacher retirements and 6 elementary teachers. In order to balance our budget, the original request was $61,950 and almost a 3% increase. Increases in contractual agreements, utilities, healthcare costs, and maintaining the ARA positions really fed into that 3% increase. Our decreases were in out-of-district tuitions and in other utilities. And right now, we don't know where a couple of our utilities will go as you see gas prices rising, and those are not locked in yet. So there is some volatility in our budget presentation, but we also have a reserve amount for unanticipated expenses, and we need to track the world situation in the East to maintain our accuracy of budgeting. But that figure was the figure originally, and the committee asked for a reduction in that figure. As you know, the money we get from the town is never enough money for us to offer all of the services and programs that we require. And so we add to that circuit breaker money, which is the special education reimbursement, our school choice funds and transportation fees, in addition to grants and other sources of revenue, athletic fees. So our budget is, we get $58.7 million from the town, and as you saw, we were originally requesting $61.9 million. At this time, our budget presentation is our budget request is actually $61,357,403, and that brings us to the place that the school committee asked for a more conservative request from the original $61,950, and I was able to achieve that in two ways. One was to eliminate all the ARA positions that I was proposing that we keep. So at this point in time, we have eliminated 4 part-time kindergarten TAs, adjustment counselor services at BIS, and the special education team facilitator. In addition, I went back and looked at the enrollments and reduced 1 elementary teacher enrollment at Hyannis West. There was a redundancy of 1 high school teacher in the budget. I effectuated the retirement savings across all of the schools, and I examined the equitable funding to the Horace Manns, and I made additional adjustments to the utilities. By doing those sets of behaviors, I brought our budget down to $61,357,403. What we get from the town is $58,746. We will put our Ed Jobs money into the budget for next year. We will be able to carry forward some tuition money from this year by paying ahead, and we will use $1 million of circuit breaker, $400,000 of school choice revenue, and $200,000 of transportation fees. I believe that the budget presented to you is a budget that will allow us to provide almost the same level of service that we have at our schools now. I will tell you that I am concerned about the loss of the ARA position at BIS, and I am concerned about the loss of the kindergarten TAs at Hyannis West. And as you know, in February, I asked that should the state revenue change at all, could we please restore what are the ARA positions, which is almost $200,000. And my preference would be the adjustment services at BIS first, the kindergarten second, and the special ed facilitation third, in that order. So we have a prioritized order of restoration. And I think that budget will allow us to continue to move forward as a school district, and we will use Race to the Top funds for moving forward with curriculum design, professional development, creating stipends for our teachers to do work after school, and the classroom work will, and all of the operating costs will be included in the request of $61.3 million. A significant part of our budget goes to salaries. We're a people business, and so the red indicates the salaries. Almost the lilac color is operations. That's your utilities and your sewer bills and those kinds of costs. 6% right here, that blue, is benefits to staff. So if you take the 6% and the red, that's a big chunk of the budget. And if you look at this little sliver, that's the supplies and textbooks and copier equipment, and that's what we commit to the operation of the school system. So quite frankly, so much of it is fixed costs that there's not a lot of discretionary spending here.
Tomorrow we'll have part 2 of the school superintendent's and the school committee's budget presentation on Barnstable Today. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Len Gobeil.